can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain waves, and I can immediately tell you how the people react, or I can feel how the people react to your answers. Is it imaginable?
You need to know who's been vaccinated and who hasn't been. Some of the vaccines that will come on down the line will be multiple. There'll be multiple shots. So you've got to have, for reasons to do with the healthcare more generally, but certainly for a pandemic or for vaccines, you've got to have a proper digital infrastructure. And many countries don't have that. In fact, most countries don't have that.
And when you stop and think about it, it's pretty extraordinary that we, select group of human beings, because of whatever touched us at some point in our lives, are able to sit in a room and come together and actually talk about saving the planet. I mean, it's so almost extraterrestrial to think about, quote, saving the planet. You know, the State of the Union's coming up, and the president's got to, you know, and I think will because he believes this, we got to move this. Because that's the only way we keep 1.5 degrees alive. So how do we get there? Well, the lesson I've learned in the last years, and I learned it as secretary and I've learned it since, reinforced in spades, is money, 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 money.
The troposphere, and it's only 5 to 7 kilometers thick. That's what we're using as an open sewer. If you could drive a car straight up in the air at interstate highway speeds, you'd get to the top of that blue line in 5 minutes. And all the greenhouse gas pollution would be below you. We're still putting 162 million tons into it every single day. And the accumulated amount is now trapping as much extra heat as would be released by 600,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding every single day on the Earth. That's what's boiling the oceans, creating these atmospheric rivers and the rain bombs and sucking the moisture out of the land and creating the droughts and melting the ice and raising the sea level and causing these waves of climate refugees. Look at the xenophobia and political authoritarian trends that have come from just a few million refugees. What about a billion? We would lose our capacity for self-governance.
Listen, if you listen to his comments, it's quite clear that every woe in the world he blames on climate change. It all comes back to that, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to convince people that Davos is not a cult, then I think the last thing you should do is put up a screaming Al Gore to blame every single weather pattern on climate change. There's no science for much of what he's saying there. We've actually seen greenhouse gas emissions were flat over the last decade thanks to this transition from coal to natural gas. He never talks about how U.S. carbon emissions decline more than in any other country in the world thanks to abundant natural gas. Nor does he mention that his investment fund manages Davos's money. It's a Swiss organization. They're able to engage in a level of secrecy that my co-author Isabel Kaminska and I revealed earlier this week in a piece where we pointed out that Davos is a grift wrapped in a cult, wrapped in an enigma, but they surround themselves with this idea that they're very mysterious, very spiritual, but they're a bunch of dogmatic, apocalyptic, Malthusian, pro-scarcity, frankly, very anti-human people engaged in quite authoritarian exercise to try to control the global energy economy, how we produce food. All of the conspiracy theories that they claimed were conspiracy theories turned out to be true. They really do want people to move from eating meat to eating bugs, and they want us all to live a poorer, low-energy life.
Thank you to His Excellency